Now, when we open our international borders in this country and bring that on, the federal government is not going to insist that foreign arrivals carry full travel insurance, despite, of course, the potential threats to our health system. Business editor Ross Greenwood joins us. G'day, Ross. How did this information come to light?
Well, what happened is we started to have a little bit of a look at the whole issue of what happens when borders open. The travel insurance issues for when Australians are leaving Australia, but then also what happens when others from overseas are allowed into our country. Now, one of the interesting parts about this is the whole idea that you do not want your health system overrun. Now, already Australia has reciprocal arrangements with some countries. So, say, for example, in the UK, if you have a national health insurance number there and you're part of the NHS, when you come to Australia, it's highly likely that you'll get access to the Medicare facilities here. But this is Karen Andrews, and a spokesperson for the Home Affairs Minister today, who said, however, in the absence of Medicare eligibility, all visitors to Australia are strongly recommended to make their own arrangements for private health insurance, regardless of whether or not it is a visa condition, to ensure they're fully covered. The interesting part about this, I find, Chris, is why would the government not mandate it to make certain that you have travel insurance when you come to Australia, to make certain that there is not, now sure, people are going to have to be vaccinated, I do recognise that, to get on the airlines, but it still is an important point that we do not want in Australia our hospital system to be overrun by people coming in from overseas and effectively taking hospital beds, because the opposite's true when Australians go overseas and travel as well.
Yeah, I've got to say, in my time working in foreign affairs, this used to exercise our minds quite a bit, because we would love for all Australians to have travel insurance when they go overseas, because otherwise then they can look after themselves when things go wrong overseas. But it's never been made compulsory, and that's when they call Australia to try and help them out. You should get travel insurance every time you travel overseas. But any sense that the government's going to move on that?
Well, now there's an interesting part about it as well, because that's the other aspect of this. While everybody's looking forward to the borders being opened, right, and for travelling overseas, and, you know, Qantas has got its new schedule and all that type of thing going on, the question about what happens when you go overseas. Now, for example, if you go to the Schengen countries, the European countries, all of the European countries, you need to have travel insurance, medical insurance this is. Now, if you go to Russia, Lebanon, all these countries, in those countries, they insist that you have full travel medical insurance. Now, these countries insist that you have COVID coverage as well. Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, Israel, some of the popular ones that we've picked up here. So, as I say, I think it's really important that you recognise it. The other thing we've discovered as we've gone through this is that the travel insurers here, in many cases, aren't too certain. They're fine about medical. It'll cost you more, certainly significantly larger amounts more if you go to some countries. But the second part, disruption to your travel. If you get stuck overseas for a very long period of time, the insurance companies, they don't want to touch you, because that'd be way too expensive. And so just be very careful as to what you're insured for if you do get the travel insurance when you go overseas.
Yeah, absolutely good point. It's great if COVID focuses people's minds on this a bit more, because I tell you what, COVID could be the least of your problems. If you break an arm or a leg or something overseas, that can cost you an arm or a leg.